Okay, time for the SMX medical update. We bring on Dr. Joe McGinley, whose clinic supports the McGinley Privateer Support Program at the track, which is always great. But you got a lot of other things you're involved in, which includes SMX Next. They will be racing for their championship. It's a winner take all championship format in Philadelphia. But we talk way too much about just the racing results part of SMX Next. There is an educational component for these riders as well. You've been involved with that all year. So what are you working on with these young riders all season?
Well, first, it's going to be great to be back in Philadelphia. That's my hometown. That's where I grew up. That's where I went to school. That's where I did all my racing. It's going to be an exciting weekend. Not only do we have Supercross on Saturday, but we also have Flyers and Sixers both in the playoffs this weekend. So Philadelphia is going to be an exciting time, an exciting weekend. Now, getting back to business, getting into the SMX Next, I've been speaking to the riders all season. These kids are amazing. I mean, we've seen some of the results when they've come up into the 250 class already this year. But we've been doing a 4-part program at all the SMX Next series. We're talking to them about healthcare, and then how they can deal with injuries and prevent injuries. So we had a 4-part series. We broke it up along the way to help them throughout the series, and now it's culminating with the final this weekend. We're excited to see it. We're excited to see these kids grow in the sport. Interesting fact, Weege, when I asked them at the last event how many of them had orthopedic injuries, literally the entire room raised their hand. So fairly common to have injuries, and you only want to make sure they're getting taken care of so they have a long career, and we can see them fighting for the championship when they get into their 30s as well.
Well, you have such an extensive education and so much experience in this field, but you're talking to, for lack of a better term, a bunch of kids, right, that are maybe a little bit more experienced than the average kid with orthopedic surgeries, but they don't know a lot about things that you can do to help them preventatively and also recovery wise. So what are some of like the more interesting questions you've had, or things that maybe surprised you from these kids that maybe you took for granted because, again, this is the field where your expertise is?
Yeah, well, first, keeping their attention for an education series on medicine is a challenge. So I had some help from my privateer team buddies. Scott Meshi put a funny arm pump video together for me to use in one of my presentations. So keeping their attention to actually listen to what I have to say is the first struggle I have to deal with. But from there, just letting them know, even if the information doesn't sink in right away, letting them know we're there for a resource, that if they have an injury or they're dealing with something, they can just give me a call. I can advise them. I can give them some pointers on how to deal with it and how to, get back on the bike. A lot of times, the way I try to relate to this is the amount of time and money they spend on their bike to make sure it's perfect. But, your body's more important than your bike. So if you have an injury that you're worried about, let's just say if it's your knee and it's hurting you and it's bugging you, that's much more important to get fixed than, say, dialing in your suspension. Because if you're out there, your knee is part of your body's suspension. You want to make sure that's going well. You don't want to have to worry about it when you're racing. So trying to relate to them and trying to make the connection on your body's important. You only get one shot at this. You can't, change the tires on yourself. What you have is what you're dealing with. And if you want a long career, you have to start now. You have to start with nutrition. You have to start with prevention of injuries. And then the other thing, JT, that I was surprised by, we're starting to see it a little bit, but mental health coaching. So sports psychologists, things like that, to help these kids deal with all the pressures. I mean, they're coming up, they're just young kids. All their friends are out doing fun stuff, and they have to train, they have to work, they have to watch what they eat, they have to travel. That's a lot of stress on a young professional athlete that's, the next generation of champions. So a lot of stuff there. These kids are great. It's wonderful to hear the questions. And as long as we can communicate that information, I think we're making a difference in their healthcare.
All right. You'll be talking to the riders this weekend. SMX Next, their championship. We'll preview that in a moment. But good to see you back at the races. Enjoy all the chaos of all the sports going on in your hometown this weekend.
Thanks, Luigi. Looking forward to it.